That was kind of a crushing defeat for Ozone, and let's just like to get into a slightly different topic. Ozone, like this game, half of winning is mentality. You have to have a good mentality to win. And Ozone, going into the second and third game did not have a good mentality, and I feel like that really affected them. You could see it in their play. They were just missing a lot of skill shots. They were making kind of silly decisions, and it caused them to lose. So you got to find a way, if you're playing a competitive game like this, to keep a level head, because it is so important not to go on tilt. Actually, I like having the chat right there. That's really nice. And then I can just do that. Alright, so getting into this game. I'll just stay in full screen the whole time, because why not? Alright, so this game, they place pretty similar wards at the start. Actually, did Bengi start with a ward again? Yeah, I think he even puts it in the same spot. No. Okay, so actually no level 1 wards this game, which makes sense. If you look at these team compositions, neither one of these teams is particularly dominant at level 1. Neither team wants to get into a level 1 fight particularly, so they're not... Both teams know that, and both teams are going to play accordingly. They don't need the level 1 wards, so they can invest in other stuff, which they do. So the trinkets are coming off cooldown right now. Mata actually bought a sweeping lens. I'm assuming that's because they knew that they could play this lane aggressively and they wanted to deny SKT as much vision as possible, which makes a lot of sense. So here we see the trinkets become available. Both teams just do this defensive warding. There's a lot less warding this game because neither team is worried particularly about early aggression, because neither team has a particularly good early aggressive team. And they go about their business. So let's just talk about the wards that are done right now. Obviously this ward is mostly a defensive ward for impact. This ward is actually kind of weirdly positioned, but these two wards, I'm assuming that they were worried about Nunu invading and trying to get some stuff done there. And these are kind of like halfway aggressive, halfway defensive, because Nunu really shouldn't be invading. Against an Elise, that's pretty dangerous. So, basically, if Nunu does try to invade, he's going to get caught by these wards, and he's going to get killed. And then, if he tries to gank from behind, they see him in the tri-bush, nothing happens. These wards in the river, just to spot rotations and to defend against ganks. This one, I feel like right now in the current metagame, a lot of supports are roaming. A lot of supports just leave lane and go roam to mid, which is where these river wards especially become extremely important, because if you don't see that coming, you're totally screwed. So let's fast forward a minute. Let's see what kind of wards they have down. So all their wards have expired. Their trinkets are coming up pretty soon. SKT actually have their trinkets on a pretty nifty rotation, whereas one set comes off cooldown, the others become available. Or no, that's Ozone. It doesn't really matter, but it can be nice to be able to replace vision right as it becomes unavailable. So Bengi actually waited until these wards expired so that he could then invade the jungle. And we see, I think he has used his sweeping lens, so yeah, they used their sweeping lens. The way they used it is SKT tried to gain vision of this brush with their trinkets, and Ozone completely cleared it with the sweeping lens. So SKT just has to sit and play extremely carefully, because Mata can sit in this brush and be a constant threat to them. And this forward ward by Dade had the wave pushed up. He knew he had the early advantage. He knew that he could afford to get this ward down, so he put it down. I think that was his ward. It could have been Dandy's. But, I mean, they had an advantage. They had a lane pushed up, so they put wards down. That's just taking advantage of your positioning on the map to further establish vision control. So, Bengi being an absolute monster, because Ozone's wards have all gone down, so Bengi's, like, making problems for him. Wards down in this tri-bush. This tri-bush is going to be really important because, specifically in this game, since there are standard lane setups, junglers are going to be walking in and out of this tri-bush all the time, trying to set up ganks in the top lane. So having vision of that is really important. You generally, you want to focus on the top side of the map as a jungler until you can start to make plays for Dragon. So that's generally around level 6 when your second set of buffs spawn. It's actually a really convenient timer. So you like hit level 6, and then your bottom side buff, or whichever buff you took first, becomes available. Usually you want that to be your bottom side buff, and this is why I like to play on blue side, because on blue side that's the red buff, makes your gank on bottom really potent, so you can gank bottom, go for drag. Blue side actually has a pretty large advantage at Dragon right now in the current meta, at least early on. It is of course a little bit harder for them to access the pit, but it's a lot easier for them to control the pit. Especially, you know, if you have someone like Gragas who can steal over the wall, or any champion who can steal over the wall. And Dandy's like trying to get his revenge on Bengi for getting all up in his jungle. He actually does get some decent harass down on Bengi, so it works out pretty well for him. Bengi backs away from there. And that's where, you know, it has nothing to do with vision, but Dandy being Elise is a really big factor in this game versus Bengi being Nunu, because in this early game, Faker picked Karthus. You know, SKT really doesn't have an early game, like, at all. They cannot do a whole lot in the early game, so, I mean, Dandy's taking full advantage of that, and I definitely am going to give him credit for that. So Bengi tries to get in here and do something. Doesn't quite work out. Pumondu actually fails his combo here. I think it may have been an arcane shift from Imp that actually causes that to happen. But whatever it was, you know, the gank kind of fizzles out a little bit. Not really a big deal for either team. So we see, I believe both teams actually have a ward in this brush. This brush is also really important because this is, you know, where junglers are going to access the mid lane, and this is where mid laners are going to go if they're going to roam up to the top lane. But more often than not, a mid laner is actually going to roam to bottom because, of course, that gives you control over Dragon. That gives you more control over the map. So this pink ward, this is just an easily defensible pink ward by SKT. This is one of those pink wards that's going to get a lot of mileage for them. And drinking some water. Okay, so more vision stuff, blah blah. This ward in the tri-bush has actually expired for SKT, so Impact doesn't see Dandy here, which could be important. Alright, fast forward a minute. Look, the pink ward is still here a minute later. They actually ended up putting a pink ward, Ozone did end up putting a pink ward right here, and I don't really know why they would do that. Looper is struggling in this lane, and to put a pink ward down in a position where the laner is struggling, you know, he's not going to be able to defend it, that seems kind of questionable. I mean, maybe they had a plan for it, but also notice everybody bought wards when they backed almost everybody. So SKT rotated to this Dragon just a little bit faster than Ozone. They got here just a little bit quicker. And that's, you know, causing some issues for Samsung Ozone right now because they have to respond to that. But notice the Requiem on cooldown, so Faker can't actually do a lot. Dade did a good job of forcing the Requiem during the lane phase, just going all in and trading 1-for-1 to force the Requiem, because the Requiem's are a really long cooldown. If you can trade 1-for-1 to get the Requiem, it's totally worth it. Obviously, you don't want to die, but it's hard not to die against a jungler and a Karthus with Requiem. So a lot of vision here in the river. This actually really deep ward from SKT. This is what SKT does. They do these aggressive rotations through the jungle. We saw it last game. We saw it this game. They're just trying, and actually I love that ward position because this is the crossing at blue buff I was talking about, as opposed to actually being able to see the blue buff. They can see basically any time Ozone walks through this blue side jungle. Like, this covers every single crossing in the blue side except for this little passage right here next to mid lane. But that sees a lot, and this ward covers the rest that it doesn't see. So, I mean, they have a huge amount of vision in Ozone's jungle just because they made that little rotation. Whereas, you know, Ozone's wards are mostly defensive. They don't have anything past the river. And SKT even has vision of dragon right here. So, minute into the future. Alright, look, a fight! A fight's going on. I don't remember which team got dragon, but one of them did. Or did they? Oh, no, I remember. This fight was funny. Alright, so Ozone going for the dragon here. They can see SKT coming. SKT really can't see them. It's a pretty good dragon. Oh, no, this was a different fight. But anyway, Faker gets locked up. He actually does a really good flash here to get into the back line of Ozone, get more, and he because of that he actually kills Dandy. SKT, I believe, managed to get 2 kills here. So Pumandu getting chased down, he's gonna flash over the wall. Imp does not manage to get Piglet because of a really good flash over the wall, and Impact helping out Piglet there. So they'll end up trading 2, or I think that was 3-for-1 in favor of SKT, if I am not mistaken. No, that was 2-for-1 for SKT, because those were the only kills so far. And of course Ozone got the dragon, but SKT now is aggressively pressuring this tower, and they do have to back away because this threat from Mata and Dade is pretty significant. So Ozone, so far, playing pretty well. They managed to find a lapse in SKT's vision control, but SKT realized, you know, we don't have a great early game comp. We're not going to be able to control the dragon as much, and they got they got out of it what they could, which was actually quite a lot. It's a shame that the Requiem was down here, because that could have meant even more kills for SKT, but they still got 2-for-1, and they played this fight really well. In this game, what they actually did, or no, I think it was the next game, yeah, but what they did is they just really managed to manipulate team fights to be in their favor. They managed to force a fight where, like, Ozone doesn't want to fight on Karthus. They want to, like, just kill Karthus and then disengage, or just not have to deal with Karthus at all. And SKT was like throwing Karthus in their face. They had freaking Sivir ultimate just to speed up Karthus and help him get further into the fight. They had like so much of this like slowing and backline diving just so that Faker could get in there with Karthus. But anyway, we're talking about vision, so 1-for-1 trade here. Faker actually gets the kill. Bengi tries to steal it, but to no avail. If I was Dade there, you know, really thinking about it, if you're Dade there, you want to walk back into that snowball to let Bengi kill you, because you would much rather Bengi get the kill than Faker. But again, that's another Requiem forced, and so Pumandu being a beast. And like, look at Pumandu go. But okay, we're talking about wards right now, so they still have, basically they're controlling the river. Ozone, or no, this is still SKT's. Look, several minutes later the ward is still there, and of course they're trying to control vision in the river, putting wards wherever they can. They've got this pink also in this bush. They've got like basically a line of pinks along this bottom side, so Ozone can't get into their jungle without them seeing. Which is actually